For the second time this season, Auburn has beaten Baylor. This time, it's personal.
You are Locked On Baylor, your daily podcast on the Baylor Bears. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello there, Bears fans. Welcome to another episode of Locked On Baylor, brought to you by Game Time and part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. I'm your host, Cam Stuart of the Rogue Media Network. Appreciate you guys making it your first listen today and every day. And yes, I'm still sick. Okay, I've got an ear that has not popped from the flight yesterday. And happy 24th anniversary to Luis Gonzalez and all those that celebrate it. Today on the show, we're going to be talking about the Hugh Freeze firing, how Auburn beat Baylor again, because this sends a very, very clear message that if you don't laugh, you'll just cry if you're a Baylor fan. Also, are we starting to see the future of that running back room start to take shape after a breakout performance on Saturday and the lift that could give this team? Plus, talk about a lift. How do you say lift en français? How about that for Nikki Collins' team, formerly known as the Baylor Lady Bears? A top 10 win to kick off the season. We'll have the stats from that and the storylines, all that and more coming up on this episode of Locked On Baylor. But we start where we start. Overall, pretty good weekend for Baylor, right? Pretty good. I said it in the postgame. I said it on yesterday's show. No negatives that I can take away from Saturday's win against UCF. But in the days that have followed, I have found something that has not made me very happy as a Baylor fan, because Baylor gets this big win. Auburn, whom we've been following all season long after what they did to us in week one, did not get a big win on Saturday. In fact, they got a pretty embarrassing loss, 10-3 to Kentucky. And they said, enough is enough. Hugh Freeze, you're gone. And funnily enough, a lot of their fans found out because he didn't show up to his regular scheduled tea time. It's a tough day. It's a tough transition right now for the Auburn family and my friend Zach Blackerby, who was defending Hugh Freeze harder than almost anybody else in this offseason. But the proof was in the pudding, man. The proof was in the pudding. It was right there for Hugh Freeze, right there in his resume. I mean, seriously. And what's that, a 15-19 record with Auburn in just about 3 seasons here. They've done well on the recruiting trail, but the results on the field were not good enough. Does that sound familiar? Right? Oh, you can't get rid of Hugh Freeze. They've got such great recruits coming in. I've heard that a little bit closer to home. Yeah, he loses on the field all the time, like when push comes to shove. It's like, man, this kid is just great at studying. He is so good at reading out loud in class. And man, he's always sitting there paying attention. But when we take the tests, he gets an F every time. That's what Hugh Freeze was at Auburn, and more often than not, that's what Dave Aranda is at Baylor. Auburn decided to fire their coach. Serious football program. You wouldn't know it because of how they played on the field for every game except for Baylor, but serious football program. And when you look deeper into the numbers here, you see a catastrophe from Auburn's offense. Now stick with me here because this is going to very much relate back to Dave Aranda. Auburn this year, playing for Hugh Freeze, the quarterback whisperer, the offensive genius, 104th in scoring offense. If you took out that Baylor game, their average for points per game goes down by 2.5 points. Over a 9-game season, that's a pretty big cut to be taken away from one game. Okay? They've only scored 20 points against a Power 4 team one other time in the 8 weeks since they played Baylor. One time. It was against Arkansas, which is barely Power 4 at this point, but I guess you got to be looking at Baylor in the same light with how Auburn did against them. That's how a guy who specializes in one side of the ball completely fumbles the bag. Like, that's how it happens right there. For Hugh Freeze and Auburn, it's the offense, and that offense is atrocious. Flip it to the Baylor side, and of course, you're looking at defense, right? You're looking at Dave Aranda, your head coach's specialty. Well, as Auburn sits 104th in offense for a quarterback whisperer, the defensive genius Dave Aranda in year 6 has the 100th best scoring offense. Or excuse me, Dave Aranda in year 6 has the 100th best scoring defense in all of college football. Like, is this not pure poetic symmetry right here? Is this not perfect? You see what a serious program does when their coach's specialty is so horrid that they can't win games. Is it not the same way for Baylor? Or here, just to make it worse, because I say if you don't laugh, you'll cry. This Hugh Freeze thing, when you look at his resume and how far this program has fallen at Auburn and how bad their offense is, it is a joke. It's an absolute joke. It's a punchline. And then you remember, what was the one great game they played this season? Damned if it wasn't against the Baylor Bears. Week 1 of the season. Again, they've scored 20 points against a Power 4 team twice this year. They scored 38 against Baylor. 38. Jackson Arnold runs all over him. 137 rushing yards. Man, that's tough, but you kind of got to live with it. Jackson Arnold, what an incredible running quarterback. What a threat that guy is. I mean, he could be playing back in the NFL. Except for the fact that in the 8 games since Jackson Arnold ran for 137 yards against Baylor, his next highest output was 55 rushing yards. 55. Baylor made him 82 yards better than his next best performance. In fact, he has more games of negative rushing yards than he does 100 rushing yards, let alone 130. He's got more games with negative rushing yards than he has 90 rushing yards, or games of 80 or 70 or 60. That's how much worse Baylor is than the rest of what Auburn has faced this year. That is embarrassing. That is embarrassing. So when we yuck it up and laugh it up at this Auburn tenure for Hugh Freeze, you have to think, what does that make us then? What does that make the Dave Aranda tenure if the Hugh Freeze one was a joke? Because they're terrible. It's 3 points against Kentucky. Okay? They're routinely 3, 10, 10, 17 points in a game. They scored 38 against you, against your defensive guy. You got to prepare for Jackson Arnold for 9 months almost, and you couldn't stop him no matter what you did. Although we wouldn't know because they didn't really change anything. Everyone else got a week to prepare for Jackson Arnold and did so much better. Did so much better. Again, this was a guy who just went all over you for 137 yards in one game. And since then, he's gone for 121 in the 8 games since. So this is a clear message here. Auburn says this isn't good enough. We brought in a guy who specializes on this side of the ball, and it is dreadful. It is atrocious. And that is just like a standing headline. You can use the same thing for Baylor. But is it bad enough? Is it bad enough? If Auburn is firing Hugh Freeze for what that side of the ball is doing, then I don't think there's any great escape that Dave Aranda can make, even if they go 8-4. I'm probably wrong about that, by the way. If they go 8-4, he's probably staying. But that's what we're talking about here. Auburn saying it's not good enough. And inevitably someone will say, oh, well, Auburn is, a cut above what Baylor can be. And again, I'll say, the same thing's happening at Colorado State. They're not putting up with it anymore. Oklahoma State. Is Oklahoma State a cut above Baylor? I don't think so. They're not putting up with it anymore. But this, again, we watched it week 1, and we knew that Auburn was going to be a team we'd have to look out for the rest of the season, mainly to see if it would make Baylor look any better. But this is the ultimate test of, can Auburn make Baylor look any better? Will Baylor do what Auburn did? Because the symmetry is all right there. It's all right there. And one team has made the move. One program has made the move. The other is not. Let me know what you think about Hugh Freeze's firing and what that means for Dave Aranda. Let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, because, of course, we bring it to you every weekday, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts as well. The #1 Baylor football show on YouTube right here on Locked On Baylor. When we come back, we're going to talk about the potential running back stable of the future and whether that got a little bit more clear on Saturday, and maybe more importantly for the time being, did an unlikely source provide one heck of a spark, a much-needed spark for this Baylor offense? Let's talk about it next on Locked On Baylor. But first, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, the thing that put a little extra money in my pocket this weekend. I never thought I'd say this, but thank you to the North Carolina Tar Heels. Now I'm focusing on the NBA during the week, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the association. Even if you miss the start of the game, you want to ride the hot hand as you're watching, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who's going to score next to those great fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at an even bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Once again, new customers, $300 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Back here on Locked On Baylor, your host, Cam Stuart, just absolutely battling through this cold that he's had all weekend that forced him to leave a wedding early. I mean, what a sicko thing to do for a sick man. And a very sicko thing to do is talk about Baylor athletics 5 days a week, all year long. But that's what we do here on Locked On Baylor, and we will not stop because of a little bit of a runny nose or a lot of bit of a runny nose. Anyway, let's talk some football, shall we? This Baylor offense really needed a spark on Saturday. Like, really. And I know the numbers, when you just look at the box score of their last couple of games, don't say that, right? Cam, they scored 36 against TCU. Like, they needed a spark. Yeah. If you watch that game, you know they did need a spark. And Sawyer needed a spark. And after the Cincinnati game, they certainly needed a spark. And really where it needed to come was the run game. Enter in Caden Knighton. Have a career day. Caden Knighton, true freshman that we knew he was going to have to step into a big role this year with Dawson Pendergrass being out. His coach and his teammates were lauding him in fall camp in the preseason, saying this kid is legit. Devin Bobby called him mini Scattaboo. Like, okay, I'll listen to that. I'll hear that out. It's been an up and down season. The kid's a true freshman playing high school football in Oklahoma. Like, yeah, of course it's going to be an up and down season. Can't really fault him for that. But he provided one heck of a spark with a career day on Saturday. And certainly one of the guys very thankful for that was his starting quarterback.
He's a tough kid. You got to be tough to play running back. Like I said, starts up front with the O-line. The O-line was motivated. They established the line of scrimmage, gave him rushing lanes. And he did a great job. He made some plays, has a unique ability to kind of like make people miss, spin moves, whatever it was. And so, and I think that feeds into the sideline energy, all the stuff. And so he definitely sparked us a few times. And I thought he played great. And like you said, career day for him. And so hopefully he's going to get in the ice bath and enjoy this bye week.
Hopefully a good ice bath for Caden Knighton. He earned a good ice bath with that day he had against UCF on Saturday. You know, I talked about it all week. UCF's rushing offense and UCF's passing defense. They're not a very good running defense, but I didn't bring it up a lot because Baylor's really struggled to run the ball. And we know that Bryson Washington is not near 100%. And that was apparent once again on Saturday. Here comes Caden Knighton as an absolute workhorse. More than double his previous career high in carries. 21 touches for 104 yards. A nice, crisp 5 yards to carry. Nothing crazy. His long was 16. But like he was dependable for you all day and kept you ahead of the chains all day. And you saw a little bit of the between the tackles, right? We hadn't seen that through the first 8 games because Bryson Washington runs in between the tackles, obviously. But Caden Knighton showed that he can do a little bit of that too. And we see it all the time. We see every year with our beloved Baylor Bears, man. There's always those kids who make the huge weight jump from freshman year, true freshman year, to the next year, second year on campus, whether that's redshirt freshman or sophomore. You see them add a ton of muscle when they have a full offseason workout plan. Like Caden Knighton, special athlete, track star, fast as lightning. He was playing small high school football in Oklahoma. I don't think there was a ton of huge nutrition plans. I don't think there was him bulking up 15, 20 pounds in the offseason. That's what could happen in this offseason. And you've got maybe not a mini Scattaboo, but dare I say a mini Bryson Washington. And oh yeah, Bryson Washington still can come back next year. He's got eligibility. Dawson Pendergrass will be healthy. And then you'll have a Caden Knighton. And I'll say either a Mike Turner or a Joseph Dodds, because this is going to become a logjam. If one of them is out there getting some carries as the fourth running back or third or whatever, however it shakes out, then the other probably won't be here. He'll probably want to leave. But that is a damn good running back room the way it shakes out right now. And right now, they have a pretty good positional coach in Keenan Hall. We'll see what happens with the staff after the season. But certainly if you're Baylor and you want to keep a couple of guys, Keenan Hall is on that short list. While we're at it, Dallas Baker's on that short list. Aaron Hunt's definitely on that short list, right? As your GM, you want to keep those guys in-house. Jake Spavital, definitely. I just don't know that that's going to happen. I think he's going to get some job offers. I think he's going to get a big OC offer or potentially some head coach offers with how this coaching carousel is going. He's going to have a top 5 offense at the end of the year. And it would be even better if they have been better running the ball all season, right? Better at doing that. But certainly Caden Knighton showed you that the future is bright for that room. There's a lot of question marks around the rest of the team next year, and specifically the rest of the offense, right? Pass catchers, quarterback, big question marks there. But the running back room, that's got a ton of talent in it. No matter how it shakes out for this coaching staff, no matter what quarterbacks stay, no matter what the rest of this offense looks like next year. By the way, replacing a ton of the offensive line and looking for a new offensive line coach. That's a lot, man. The more I talk about it, the more I'm thinking, are 4 or 5 running backs going to come back to play for this team? But Caden Knighton certainly showed a huge bright spot and a huge spark for this team. I mean, you heard Sawyer say it. That's a dude who Sawyer would never say this, but that's a dude who needed some food taken off his plate. All right. He needed some mashed potatoes and some green bean casserole taken off the plate here in November. All right. He needed just like a little bit less to deal with. And Caden Knight certainly helped that. And whomever's at quarterback next year, Walker White, Nate Bennett, Edward Griffin, DJ Lagway, Austin Novosad, whomever's at quarterback for the Baylor Bears next year, chances are you're going to have a pretty talented group of backs toting the rock behind you. And that'll be very interesting if it is someone like Walker White. How much does this offense change? Do they look like a 2021 offense, which was certainly not the strongest part of that team, but was absolutely dependable? In fact, I'd say it was pretty reliable. I would say it was definitely violent, and it was offense. Man, just bring back Jeff Grimes. Run this thing back. Am I right, fellas? Ladies? Anyway, let me know what you thought about Caden Knighton and the future of this running back room in the comment section below. Of course, be sure to like, subscribe, help us get towards 5,000 subscribers because we are very, very close to that. We're very, very close to that. So I really appreciate you guys making it your first listen today and every day. We're not done yet. We're taking a trip across the pond. Gay Paris, baby, where Nikki Collins' Bears came up with a huge victory to start the season. Baylor women's basketball back? ? Let's talk about it next on Locked On Baylor. But first, you're going to want to go see this team formerly known as the Baylor Lady Bears, taking on Big 12 foes all season long. So you're going to need tickets to get to the Foster Pavilion. Game Time is the place to do that. It's the only place I go to buy tickets. And obviously, we're still smack dab in football. And you don't want to miss out on the last 2 Baylor home games. Tailgates, energy in there, nothing like McLean, right? But let's be real. Getting the tickets feels like more of a battle than Baylor playing Utah. Okay. The hidden fees, the endless queues, prices jumping. That's why I use Game Time. I don't mess around with any of that stuff. It's the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. In fact, in Baylor's bye week this week, I'm going to be going to the oldest indoor arena in the United States of America, and Game Time's going to get me there. I pull it up in just a couple of taps. I can see what a good deal is, the view from my seats, what I'm going to be paying without any of the extra fees. It is faster. It is cheaper. It is less stressful than any other way that I bought tickets. And that is the God's honest truth. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Back here, Locked On Baylor. I don't know if this snuck up on you guys or not, but it is basketball season. We didn't talk about it a lot last week because we had a lot of other stuff to talk about with Dave Aranda. Okay. We were preparing ourselves for a coach firing this week. But yeah, Baylor men opened last night at the Foster Pavilion, and the Baylor ladies were all the way out in Paris and shocked the world. Number 16 Baylor takes down number 7 Duke 58-52. Hard fought, gritty, Nikki Collin kind of victory. How about that? Tied going into the fourth quarter. It wasn't the prettiest game of all time. Certainly was not. But what I love about that is that Baylor still won it. Okay? There are going to be some mucky games this season. And certainly, when you see it, is the NCAA tournament where Baylor's not done well the last couple of years. I know they made the Sweet 16 run not this past year, but the year before, 2024, but out early in 25, out early in 23, out early in 22. That's where the games get tougher and more defensive minded. And Baylor showed game number 1, hey, we can do it. And for the second time in this episode, I'm talking about the Auburn Tigers. Cam, why are you talking about the Auburn Tigers? Because the name that jumped off the page in this game 1, Talia Scott, Auburn transfer. First game as a Baylor Bear, we know high volume scorer, and she showed you why. She showed you why. One of only 2 Bears in double figures in this game. She goes off for 24. 24. Hit a couple of threes, 2 of 7 from 3. But 24 points. Added 5 rebounds, 3 assists to it. She was clearly the engine for this team, and it wouldn't surprise me or you or certainly anybody that watched if she is kind of the offensive engine all season long. That wouldn't surprise me. It's what she did at Auburn in a shorter sample size, but that's who she is. She is a big-time, high-volume scorer. You also saw Kirsten Johnson for the first time. Rebounding monster. 8 rebounds on the game. She was a huge part of that. Bella Fauntleroy, hopefully back fully healthy. And speaking of fully healthy, Jana Van Geitenbeek back out on the floor. Man, that was awesome to see. That was awesome to see as someone who tore her ACL in I think it was game 1 last year. What was supposed to be her senior season to come back after that. It wasn't a great game from the field for her. I think she was 1 for 8 in the game. So it was a little bit sloppy there, only 5 points, but she played 27 minutes and dished out 4 assists. So there was a little bit of sloppiness, absolutely, and the shooting wasn't quite there yet. But to play against a top 10 team, hold your own for 27 minutes and get a win, that's huge. That is huge coming off an ACL injury. But obviously, we know with this team that if you're going to get in these muddy games like this, you're going to need fully healthy and out there Bella Fauntleroy, Dariana Littlepage Buggs. We saw it last year with Buggs. When things weren't going well for Baylor, it was mainly because she wasn't available. And she had, by the way, a horrible day from the floor, 3 for 12. But what did she give you? A double-double. 10 points, 10 boards. That's what she's going to give you every time out. She's going to give you good defense, and she's going to give you double-digit rebounds. That's the kind of player she is, and she did absolutely show that once again in game 1 against Duke. How about that? Oui. For the team formerly known as the Lady Bears. I wish I knew more French. Honestly, guys, the only French I know, you guys know I'm from Boston. The only French I know is looking up swear words to say to the Montreal Canadiens players and their fans that came to Boston. That was it. That's it. That I can't repeat those on here, even though they are in a different language. But let me know what you thought about Baylor's big time top 10 victory to start off the season. We're going to talk about men's basketball tomorrow when we have Cindy Wicker on the show, because she really wanted to talk about it. Look, she wants to talk about it. She was there. She wasn't, but she's following along. She wants to talk about Baylor basketball tomorrow. We will do that. So thank you guys so much for making it your first listen today and every day. We will see you tomorrow on another episode of your favorite show, which is, of course, Locked On Baylor.